Any questions regarding last subject?
Ji Raj, I have a few questions.
Yes.
So, can you explain, like last class we understood what the meaning of Natva Hari meant and how Shri Mahaprabhuji was bowing to Bhagwan as the Mangalacharan for starting the Granth of Balbodh. So I just wanted to know what the second line meant in the first slok. Like, what does each individual term mean in context to what we learned in last class?
Okay. See, the term Natva means to bow down. Harim Sadanandam, it means Mahaprabhuji is bowing down to Sri Krishna, the one who is Hari. It means who snatches out the sorrows of his devotees, and the one who is Sadanandam, it means the one who is having infinite Ananda. Sarva Siddhanta Sangraham, it means conclusion of all the prescriptions as given in the Vedic scriptures is being given by Mahaprabhuji. For what purpose? So the purpose Mahaprabhuji explains, Bala Prabodhanarthaya. It means to the one who are unaware about this, the one who are not completely aware about the rules and regulations as explained in the scriptures. For them, Sri Mahaprabhuji is Vadami. It means I am just speaking out. Suvinishchitam. Suvinishchitam means well concluded scriptures. The scriptures which have nicely concluded all the rules and regulations regarding the four Purusharthas. Sri Mahaprabhuji is explaining those for the sake of newcomers.
Ji Raja, so does Sri Mahaprabhuji specifically state what the true purpose of the Pushti Bhakti Marg is, like how a devotee must follow the Bhakti Purusharth in this book, or is it being implied indirectly?
No, this is not the subject matter of Balbodh. Sri Mahaprabhuji explains that format in Chatushloki. We'll learn that as well. Because in Balbodh, the only purpose of Sri Mahaprabhuji is to clarify the format of Purusharth as explained in the scriptures. And then Sri Mahaprabhuji concludes that this is not supposed to be the purpose of a Pushti devotee, and those whoever would like to attain these four Purusharths can choose those respective methods.
Ji Raj, I understand the answer.
Fine. Anyone else? Okay. Who has a turn today?
I think me.
Sorry, I was not able to hear you.
Me.
Aryan, will you read? Okay. Ashimi, go for it.
Ji Raja. So I start off with...
Summarize the last subject in detail and then read the second shloka.
Okay, so last class we talked about the meaning of the first sloka. So we read that here Mahaprabhuji explains that in the first part of the sloka it's talking about the Mangalacharan, and this is the tradition for starting anything new. And so here we have it is bowing down and paying respects to Sri Krishna, And what Sri Vallabhacharya is saying that Bhagwan has two qualities. So one is infinite Sadanand and has the attribute of Anand. And the second one is Hari. So Hari means he removes the sorrows and sins of those who take his refuge. And so here he is addressing new devotees in Pushtimarg who are curious about Dharma Shastras and the methods for attaining Purusharths as prescribed. And so Vallabhacharya is assuming that whoever is coming to Pushtimarg is a Hindu Vedic and is aware of and has basic understanding of the Hindu religion. And so therefore, since they have this understanding of the Hindu religion, they will have questions regarding the difference between the methods of Mahaprabhuji and the Vedas. And so here, these new devotees need to know the difference between the results of the four Purusharths and then the devotion. And so if they have the understanding that salvation is most superior, then if they do not have this understanding, then they will be startled to know that Sri Mahaprabhuji is keeping devotion above salvation. But before initiation, you have to make sure and you have to clear out all of these misconceptions that you may have. And so this is why Balbodh is important in showing what is important and what Pushtimarg truly teaches. And so the effect of this is that many people today are being initiated without having any understanding, and the consequence of that is that they're getting what they're not expecting. So for example, they're realizing many things afterwards, whereas they're becoming shocked and not able to perform the Pushtimarg correctly, whereas if they had taken this knowledge beforehand, then they would have been aware of most of the major understandings. And so here we can see today that people following Pushtimarg want to accumulate money using the devotional part, and they use devotion to gain money, use seva as a means to fulfill desires, and read Bhagavad so their ancestors will reach salvation and have no problem in their family. But all of these are wrong intentions, and they have worldly desires with no proper understanding, and so they're involved in the wrong activities. However, Sri Vallabhacharya is keen in clearing out these inner minds, and the purpose of Pushtimarg will remain clear.
Fine. Continue.
Dharmartha kama mokshakyas chatvarortha manisinam jiveswara vicharena dvidha tehi vicharita. Translation: the four Purusharths are for a learned man are 1. Righteousness, duty, dharma; 2. Wealth or earth; 3. The desire for attaining ultimate happiness, kam; and 4. The salvation of soul, moksha. These Purusharths' efforts are described by Bhagwan as well as Jivas, the revered sages. So explanation. All the activities we perform throughout the day or throughout our lifespan can be divided into these four categories. 1. Through the term dharma means duty and can denote all our duties in accordance to our nation, society, family, friends, etc. But when the dharma is coined as purusharth, it particularly means that whichever duties are explained in the scriptures are known as dharma and therefore can't be thought of as a generalized form. 2. Similarly, earth means the methods of accumulating money or possessions. Being indulged in any sort of money-raising method at will does not fulfill the earth purusharth, but only by following the means of attaining money, as thought out and explained by the scriptures, can fulfill the earth purusharth, and only then those possessions can fulfill the dharma purusharth. 3. To fulfill the worldly desires and to make our sensory organs satisfied is a normal human tendency, but for fulfilling these desires, if a person chooses the wrong path which is prohibited in the scriptures, then that action won't fulfill the Kam Purusharth. Therefore, fulfilling the desires through the methods explained in the scriptures is known as Kam Purusharth. And then moksha can only be attained only through the means as described in the scriptures. So ideally, a Vedic follower has to fulfill all or his or her actions by following the scriptural ordinances and must live accordingly. Only then his Purusharths can be fulfilled. All these four Purusharths are interrelated to each other, and therefore by missing any one of these, a Hindu would end up disturbing all the Purusharths ultimately. So in order to explain this, here we and I think in the first class we learned the meaning of dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. And so dharma is duty, and it's talking about the duties that we have in our everyday lives. And this could be relating to anything and everything. So it could be duty towards like our dharma, or duty towards like our family or society. And earth is like trying to a means of accumulating wealth or possessions. And kam is to fulfill the demands of our sensory organs. And then moksha is liberation. So we can try and attain these on our own. However, in order to fulfill the Purusharth, we have to explain the means which are explained in the scriptures. And so we have to follow the scriptures in order to attain the Dharma Purusharth, Kama Purusharth, Artha Purusharth, and then the Moksha. So here, in order, if we have to make sure we follow each of these correctly, and if we don't, then we won't be able to attain the Purusharths correctly.
So as Mahaprabhuji explained the subject matter of this Granth in the first shlok, Sri Mahaprabhuji starts explaining the meaning of all these four Purusharths. So in second shlok, Sri Mahaprabhuji explains that there are four Purusharths for a learned man. Learned man term has been coined here because the one who has read the scriptures, the one who is ready to fulfill the ordinances given in the scriptures, only that person can understand the purpose of his life and can fulfill all these four Purusharths. So the one who is not aware about the scriptures, or the one who doesn't want to follow the scriptures, he won't even be interested, he won't take up any interest in following or attaining these four Purusharths. So the first Purusharth is Dharma, which is translated as righteousness or dutifulness. The second one is wealth, Artha Purusharth. Kam, the desire for attaining happiness. And the fourth, the salvation of the soul or moksha. Kam Purusharth can also be understood by in the form of such a concept that when our body and sensory organs demand some objects, to fulfill the demands of sensory organs and provide it the happiness, satisfaction, is known as Kam Purusharth. These are the four Purusharths which have been described by Bhagavan as well as revered sages. It means all the four Purusharths have been explained in both the way. Though Dharma term is generally translated as duty, and there are many duties which are concerned with a human being. Being a wife, I have some duties. Being a daughter, I would have some duties. Being a sister, I would have some duties. Being a friend, I would have some duties to follow. Being a citizen of a country, I will have some duties to follow. So there are many duties which a person has to follow in accordance to the different personality he may have. But here when we say that Dharma is a Purusharth, then Dharma term doesn't translate in a generalized form, but Dharma will particularly mean that whatever duties which have been explained in the scriptures to me, those are to be followed by me. And only by following that particular scriptural ordinance, I would be fulfilling my Dharma Purusharth. Not by coining this term as a general term, which would mean that I have to fulfill my duties. In spite of fulfilling my duties, if I am missing out the scriptural ordinance, then my Dharma Purusharth is not being accomplished. Same way, there are many methods to accumulate money. Right nowadays, we go for a job, we opt to some business, we choose many such methods through which we can earn money. Now, in generally, this would mean that if I am earning money, then I am achieving my Artha Purusharth. But by achieving money or by attaining money, the way which has not been prescribed in the scriptures, then it doesn't fulfill my Artha Purusharth. So, if I am going through the methods as explained in the scriptures for accumulating money, only then I am fulfilling my Artha Purusharth. Otherwise, I am not fulfilling my Artha Purusharth, and the money which I have collected isn't even known as Artha in the context of scriptures, because scriptures won't identify that money as a righteous money. So the money which we attain or possess must be through the method as explained in the scriptures. So for example, if I am a Brahmin, then I have some prescribed occupations for me. For example, scriptures will say that being a Brahmin, to teach the Ved is your duty, to help people, to assist people in all the Vedic rituals is your duty. So these are the methods through which you can earn money. So being a Brahman, I have to choose those methods only. Same way, if we are someone is a Kshatriya, then that person has to protect the society. So being a king, being a soldier, to protect the society is a duty. On the other side, if a person is a Vaishya, then he has to do the business, and if someone is a Shudra, then he has to assist, to do the job as a servant for all the Brahman, Kshatriya and Vaishya. So these are the methods of occupation as explained in the scriptures. So if a person is identifying himself among these four varna, then he has to follow these particular methods for attaining money. And only then that money is known as Artha Purusharth, and after accumulating that sort of artha, that sort of money and possessions, if I am performing all the activity of dharma, only then those activities would be known as the dharma purusharth. If the money attained by me is not according to the method as explained in the scriptures, then if I am using that money in doing anything, for example, if I am performing a yajna by using that money, the money which has not been attained by the method explained in the scriptures, then that yajna won't be considered as a righteous activity done by me. That dharma activity will fail completely. So all these four purusharths are interrelated to each other. Third one is Kam Purusharth. Kam Purusharth means to fulfill our desires, to fulfill the desires of our sensory organs, is known as Kama Purusharth. So by accumulating money, we can fulfill the demands of our sensory organs. Again, scriptures explain that there are some methods through which you can fulfill your Kam Purusharth. It must not happen individually and independently. For example, today I feel that I want to fulfill the demands of my sensory organs and I want a lot of money. Tomorrow I'll do a theft in some house, I'll get some money and I'll fulfill my desire. So now the desire fulfilled by me won't be considered as a Kama Purusharth, because I have chosen the wrong path for fulfilling my desires. So this is how scriptures have given some prescriptions, and we need to follow those methods in order to fulfill our desires as well. The fourth Purusharth is Moksha. Moksha means to attain salvation. Now moksha cannot be attained with any other means other than the means as described in the scriptures. So ideally a Vedic follower, the one who is a Hindu, the one who is a Vedic, has to fulfill all his or her actions by following the scriptural ordinances and must live accordingly. And if I am missing out one Purusharth, for example, if I am missing the part of dharma, then all the three will get disturbed, because I am not going to attain moksha at the end. Same way, if I have accumulated money through wrong path, then whatever activity, whatever sort of dharma is performed by me will fail. Same way, if I am fulfilling my desires through wrong methods, then my dharma and arth are going to disturb, which would ultimately disturb the moksha purusharth. So ultimately all these four are interrelated to each other. So if a person is disturbing any one of these, all the four will ultimately be disturbed, and that will be disturbing our whole lifestyle. So according to, as per that, the scriptures won't identify that particular person as a Vedic, as a Hindu, and therefore we cannot do anything, and not it won't be good for us. We'll be attaining the sin at the end, because we are not fulfilling the prescriptions as given in the Ved. Any questions?
Ji Raja. So I just that when performing the service of Bhagwan, it is necessary where we have to follow the rules and regulations preached by Sri Mahaprabhuji and accumulate money to be used in the service of Bhagwan. So dharma, arth, kama, and moksha are necessary parts of performing the service of Bhagwan. So does that mean we have to use dharma, arth, kama, moksha to our benefit by performing the service of Bhagwan and not for any other reason?
Mahaprabhuji has explained Pushtimargiya Purusharth in the text named Balbodh, Chatushloki. Here all these Purusharths have been explained in generalized term, not in any particular definition for Pushti Sampradaya. But yes, being a devotee, it is important for us to follow the orders of the scriptures to the best of our capacity. Though we know that times have changed, our systems have been changed, and therefore it is not possible for us to fulfill all the rules and regulations of the Vedic scriptures. Though we must try to the best of our capacity. That we don't attain money through wrong methods, or we just don't get blind in fulfilling our desires that would ultimately disturb the whole society or our righteous path. So at least basically we need to be a good human being, and only then we can be a good devotee. So to the best of our capacity we must try to follow, and if it goes out of our capacity, then at least we must not engage in any such activity which is prohibited in the scriptures.
Ji Raja. And what does it, in the second slok, what does it mean by when Sri Mahaprabhuji says, Jiveshwara vicharena dvidate hi vicharita? What's the meaning of that?
That part will be detailed explained in the next slok, in the third slok.
Okay, Ji Raja.
Anyone else? Any question? For a Pushti being, Sri Mahaprabhuji clarifies that for a Pushti being, his ultimate duty or the Dharma Purusharth is to serve Bhagavan Shri Krishna. It means Krishna Seva is the primary duty of a Pushti devotee, though it doesn't mean that it cancels all other duties. It just add on. This is the added duty towards us. We have to add this duty in our life to serve Shri Krishna, and it must be our priority. Other than that, all the duties have been are to be fulfilled by a devotee. Same way, according to Sri Mahaprabhuji, Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself is our Artha Purusharth, because I don't want anything in my life other than Bhagavan Shri Krishna. He himself is my earth, he himself is my possession, and he is everything for me. To prioritize, that's what this means is. The third one, Kama Purusharth, Mahaprabhuji explains that by serving Bhagavan Shri Krishna, a devotee has to feel content. It means if my hands are being used in the seva of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, if I am able to use my eyes in having the darshan of Bhagavan, if I am able to use my ears in hearing something regarding Bhagavan, if my tongue is being used in having the prasad of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, then this has to be the most satisfied feeling for a devotee. So our sensory organs must not demand for anything else other than Bhagavan Shri Krishna, and our sensory organs must feel satisfied and content in all such acts which are related to Bhagavan only. So if my ears are not enjoying to hear in hearing something about Bhagavan Shri Krishna and we want to hear something else, then it means that we are not fulfilling the Kama Purusharth in the devotional context. And the fourth one is moksha. So Mahaprabhuji explained that when I surrender myself to Bhagavan Shri Krishna and Bhagavan accepts me as his devotee, that itself is salvation for a Pushti devotee. These are the devotional format of all these four Purusharths as explained by Sri Mahaprabhuji in Chatushloki. We'll learn that in detail, but just now understand this much for comparing two things. But it doesn't mean that our Vedic duties have been cancelled. So even we have to earn money through a righteous path, so that if we serve Bhagavan Shri Krishna with that money, then Bhagavan must feel satisfied with that. If I am using the wrong method for accumulating money and then I am using that money in the seva of Shri Krishna, in the service of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, then even that's a wrong thing. Same way, we are not devotee, such a devotee that we won't need anything other than Bhagavan Shri Krishna. We just enjoy many more worldly things and fulfill our worldly desires as well. So when we are doing so, at that time we need to take care about both the things. The first thing is that we are a Vedic and we are a devotee. We have two identities. Being a Vedic, it is important that we don't go through any such path which has been considered wrong in the scripture for fulfilling our desire. And on the other side, as I am a Pushti devotee, it is important for me to relate my each and every sensory organ with Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So I am not supposed to use any such method which would go against that. So if I am not using my sensory organs in the service of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, or if my sensory organs are not feeling satisfied, content and happy by serving Bhagavan Shri Krishna, by hearing, listening, singing, reading something about Bhagavan, in having darshan of Bhagavan, in using our body in the service of Bhagavan, then being a devotee, our Kam Purusharth is being cancelled. So this is the devotional format of all these four. We will learn it in detail when we will go through the Chatushloki text. For now, just compare these two things and correlate it out.
Raja?
Yeah.
How would, so you just explained how an individual is performing the service of Bhagavan, how they would incorporate the four Purusharths in their service. So, but how would the individual who isn't able to perform the service of Bhagavan and simply does the Shravan, Kirtan and Smaran of Bhagavan's Leelas and attributes, how would they be able to incorporate the four Purusharths?
On initial stage, it won't be possible for that person. But when a person has mentally devoted completely towards Bhagavan, at that juncture it gets easy for him to mentally relate everything to Bhagavan. Though physically it won't get possible for him, but it will get easy for him to relate everything to Bhagavan mentally. Like Surdas ji, even he was not able to serve Bhagavan because of his physical disability. But he was so much surrendered toward Bhagavan, he was completely surrendered towards Bhagavan, and therefore he never felt that he was not able to perform the service of Bhagavan. Bhagavan used to provide him darshan through his entire life, and even he used to feel that Bhagavan is all the time around him and he is serving Bhagavan through singing. So only the medium of singing was possible for him. Still he felt that all his sensory organs were being involved into it. Though this doesn't happen in the first stage, initial stage, but this happens once that being is connected with Bhagavan.
Ji Raj, I understand.
Okay. We are concluding here. If there are any more questions, we will discuss those tomorrow.
Dandavat Pranam Raja.